Slavery, a topic that we have all been taught about and lectured on in early grades. The truth is, school textbooks have failed to teach us the reality of this subject matter. Slavery has an undeniably tangled history with our world. It has been around more time than it has not. And although it is very popularly believed to be long gone and part of ancient history, it saddens me to say that this is far from the truth. There are many differences between today's modern slavery and the one that we were taught about, but there is one key detail that helps us differentiate it. It is out of everyday sight. Slavery, essentially, is when a human being is being treated as property and being forced to work or owned under threat and against their will. There are many forms of modern slavery that affects the world nowadays. Today, there are an estimated 40.3 million enslaved people around the world, meaning it affects 1 out of 200 humans. I will be talking specifically about Venezuela in this report. Venezuela is a developing country with a population of more than 28 million people. According to the Global Slavery Index, it has an estimated 174,000 enslaved humans and a 58% vulnerability to modern slavery. Country tiers are categories used to classify different regions based off of their economical situation, along with other factors. There are 4 main tiers that we use today, 1 being the best and 4 the worst. In the 2020 TIP reports, Venezuela has a remaining 3-tier classification due to its ongoing political discontent and collapsed economics. More than 4.6 million people have fled the country. These immigrants desperately flee Venezuela while longing to escape the chaos and find financial security. They take irregular and unsafe routes, where they can easily fall into the hands of criminals and human traffickers. They arrive in other countries that do not care to meet their basic human rights due to the lack of proper documentation. They lack resources, shelters, and food. A recent article in The Guardian estimates that the profit of forced labor in the world is $150 billion. According to the ILO, the profit of forced labor for Latin America and the Caribbean alone is $12 billion. Venezuela accounts for 4% of the population of Latin America and the Caribbean. The ILO does not distinguish the profit estimates of forced labor by country, but we could estimate that Venezuela would have a profit of 4% of the $12 billion, or $480 million, and the 17,694 gross domestic value. So, what are the root causes of this cruel act? Slavery can happen for many reasons. According to the Council on Foreign Relations, many of its root causes include a sudden increase in population, extreme poverty, disemployment, etc. Slavery normally soars in the absence of an efficiently functioning rule of law, as in Venezuela, for example. The government of this country has failed in many aspects to tackle this problem. It has made no national campaigns to inform the public on how to report victims. It has no victim protection policies or anti-trafficking law enforcement. They have no reporting hotline or some sort of mechanism. They have achieved minimal milestones. For example, according to the Global Slavery Index, training for police on basic legal frameworks surrounding victim identification and modern-day slavery has taken place once since 2013 until present day. They have made no significant acknowledgement to this growing regional problem, and it does not seem like they plan to do so anytime soon. This lack of protection and the criminal state itself encourages predators even more. So what can we do to help? Even though political platforms are failing to take action, why should we sit around and wait for this issue to resolve itself? There are many steps we can take to help tackle this problem. Start by educating your family, friends, and even yourself about this issue. You can watch documentaries, read stories from around the world, and many other things to stay informed and up to date. Make sure you research about companies before investing in them. Many of your favorite supply chains might support forced labor. You can also volunteer or donate to organizations or even look into job openings in professional companies and nonprofits. For example, Hogar Bambi is a non-governmental organization that helps find poor, disadvantaged children in Venezuela that could have been somehow deprived of proper care or even abandoned by their parents due to financial problems where they can no longer afford to care for their kids. This nonprofit provides them with better living conditions along with shelter, food, education, and safety. consequently eliminating the possibility of them being targeted by sexual abusers and criminals. Lastly, it is crucial we help identify and hold accountable enslavers to help empower victims and survivors, like Morella. Morella's story began when she was 17 years old. She began dating Matias Salazar, her abusive boyfriend. Morella's parents disapproved of this relationship, and this caused the couple to disappear in hopes of being able to be together without any interruptions. The couple vanished into an apartment, and this is where the torture escalated. Salazar locked his girlfriend up and kept her as a prisoner. She never left the apartment and spent the 24 hours of the day alone with no company except for television. Matias lived in another apartment down the street with his daughter and another woman. For all you know, this could have casually been your next door neighbor. He would occasionally bring Morella food and water to keep her alive. She was tortured and both psychologically and physically abused. She failed on numerous occasions to escape her prison. Morella was held captive for 31 years, where she had 3 sets of clothes and was used as a sex slave. Finally, on January 24th, she managed to escape and get help. She has been one of the thousands of victims and thankfully survivor of sexual slavery.